Hello, sir. Doggy,
I wish we should have recorded this for dummies only.
we should. I mean, we have gone through Zoom and Google, and now we're on to WebEx. What can I tell you, good brother? But I am honored and extremely joyful that we finally got this thing hooked up. All right, hold on. Let me pull up.
It's all about tenacity. It's all about tenacity.
Oh, most noble Greek. Wait a minute. All right.
It's pie, new pie.
All right, new pie. All right. Wait a minute. I got brother Alvin Crawford here. Okay.
Yeah.
And let me see if I got all this straight.
Look, use me until you use me up.
Use me up. Okay. Wait a minute. What's this? Alpha Theta chapter 5/2/1959.
Yep.
Come on, tell me. Okay, what was it like in 1959 to be?
Hold on, I've got a sweat on. Do you want to see my brand?
Yeah, let me see your brand. Okay, wait a minute. Is it on? As long as it's on your shoulder, because I don't want to see it if it's anyplace else.
Hold on, let's see what I can do here.
I don't want to look. If it ain't on your chest or your shoulder, I don't want to see it. I'm gonna tell you that right now, brother. Been undressed.
Look, I won't go down below my belt.
Okay. Okay. This is not a medical examination. Let's go there.
I think I can get it.
All right.
Hold on. No, it's not over yet.
Okay, I got plenty of time. I mean, after all that we went through.
Okay, let's see. There you go. Look closely.
I ain't seeing nothing. You.
Oh no, you got to see that.
Okay, I see it now.
Do you see that?
I see the K. Yeah, and
there's a K right in the middle of it.
In the middle of the diamond. Okay, so almost noble Greek. You know, I'm just a lowly worm squirming in the dust, yearning to see somebody so high, mighty, noble, and just. Kappa Alpha Psi, Tennessee State University. Okay.
Oh, man.
So
look here, man. Look here is the thing. You drank all the whiskey that you could hold, and then somebody beat your arm until it was like a pulp to get the skin ready. And then they put that sucker on it, and it just sizzled, and you can see a little bit of smoke. You didn't feel a thing.
Because, wait a minute, were you drinking Kappa Punch, or were you drinking that there crystal clear stuff?
Oh, no, man. This is Kappa Punch. This was the real stuff.
The real deal. Okay.
Oh, yeah, and they only had special. Actually, you couldn't get it at Tennessee State because you'd get kicked off the campus.
Yeah.
So we went down to Fisk.
I understand.
And we did it down at Fisk.
I understand. So,
yeah.
What prompted you? What is this? Were you a chemistry and a biology major?
Oh, no, you're missing it. Hold on, time out. Brother, I was a music major.
You were a music major?
Yes.
Oh,
I sent you all kinds of bios, and you didn't read any of them.
I got...
It's an extended reading.
Yes. Okay. I got... Okay, wait, I ain't even going there. All right, so you were a music major, okay, in 1959. Okay, we'll talk about your later exploits. Okay, so what was it like? What instrument did you play?
I played alto saxophone and clarinet. I still play now.
You do? So you were gonna be a jazz musician, huh?
I was gonna be a jazz musician. I had played, and my brother was a year ahead of me. Actually, my brother was 2 years ahead of me. And I was talking to him, and he had heard me. He said, "Man, you're playing well." I said, "Yeah, what do you think?" He said, "Well, you shouldn't have any trouble getting home when you get back." I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Well, we got 3 band directors that are retiring." And man, even though I love my band director as much or more than I love my father, the one thing I didn't see myself doing in my life was being a band director.
Okay, I got that. So
He, hold on. So he
okay.
said, I said, no, I don't think I want to do that. You know, I didn't go to a conservatory. What I wanted to be was a studio musician, that I would have had to go somewhere and get lots and lots more things to be able to work with that. He said, well, you've always been interested in challenges. What do you think about medicine? I
What?
said, I don't think anything about medicine. He said, well, you know, have you ever thought of giving it a shot? That would be a real challenge. I said, you know what? That sounds like a real challenge. I think I might want to do that. And that was it.
That was it.
That was it.
Oh
And so
man, wait
what
a
I
minute.
had to
And wait a
do,
minute. And wait a minute. And you pivoted in what year of college?
it was my second year.
In your second year of college, you went from I'm gonna be a studio musician to I'm gonna be a medical doctor.
Yep.
Wow.
Hear the rest of this. Now, this is my
Okay.
second year. I had gotten what's called the freshman award.
Uh-huh.
It was in the middle of my said it's the student with the highest cumulative average.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but I didn't want to spend a lot of time in. And I found out something. You don't have to have a biology degree to be in medicine. You have to be able to pass the MCAT, and you have to have the prerequisites. So
Uh-huh.
what I did is I started the course of taking the prerequisites. Now I was in music, so I
Yeah.
didn't have chemistry, I didn't have biochemistry, I didn't have physics, I didn't have algebra, I didn't have any of that. So what I did was that I loaded my schedule and I took all of those courses pretty much simultaneously.
No.
So I took all 5 hour courses, and then I got through the prerequisites in about a year and a half, and I applied to medical school. And
Yeah, McHarry, yeah.
and I got accepted. And it was really interesting because doing that, and this is what's sort of unbelievable, doing that going for medicine, and I had these guys, you know how classmates are and so forth. The guy said, well, he came over here with this big average, boy, this real science is going to take care of him. But going through that, I finished Tennessee State with the highest cumulative average.
Wow. Wow.
It was,
Wow. Wait a minute.
it
Wait
was,
a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a
it
minute.
was,
Slow your roll for a minute. And in the middle of this, if I got the numbers right, a year before you graduated,
yeah.
you decided you didn't have enough on your schedule. You decided to pledge Kappa Psi too.
No, see, Kappa was my brother. My brother was a football player. He was an athlete, and he was a big Kappa, and he wanted his little brother to be like him and shit. I didn't know Kappa from anything else.
So, but you did this in what year?
This would have been, I finished, you know, I started in 57. So switching would have been in the beginning of 58. And
Yeah.
then I took courses. And what happened was after I had gotten my prerequisites, which is what I realized that's all I needed. I was accepted into medical school and I petitioned the university to get a degree because I wasn't, they wouldn't let me in a major. They said, you know, I tried to get into biology and biology said, well, you'd have to be a major and I wasn't going to do 4 more years.
Right.
And so the only discipline I could get into was physics because physics lets you out whenever they feel it's time to let you out. And so by getting into physics, I could take all those courses without a fixed schedule.
So
And so at the end of the day, when I got accepted to Meharry, I had to, because I'd gone with all 5 hour courses to get the science courses, I had more than enough hours to graduate. So it was one of those things where petitioning to the university, that was number one. And number two, I had the highest grade point average of anyone who had my number of hours. So they had no alternative other than just to give me a BA
so
and graduating summa cum not summa cum laude. What's the next one to it?
magna
Uh, Not magna, summa cum laude. Yeah,
Yeah, that's the highest. That's the highest one you could get. So,
yeah,
so now here you are, almost noble Greek, in med school. How
right.
did you get into pediatric orthopedics?
Hold on. The story is not over.
Oh,
Okay, I got into Meharry. Okay, and I'm in Tennessee now. This is 1959,
yeah.
and I'm in Tennessee. My mother's a nurse in Memphis, Tennessee,
Okay.
and she's in a quote unquote colored hospital. And
Yes.
at the colored hospital, the chief of surgery is a black guy. And the NAACP, he's president of the NAACP, and they had been petitioning the University of Tennessee to allow an African American into the university. And the University of Tennessee said, well, thus far, there are no African Americans that are qualified for entrance. So this was 1959. There's no privacy laws then. So he said, Irma, that's my mother's name. He said, do you think you'd let us use Alvin's MedCat scores to petition the university? She said, well, no, he's in medical school now. It shouldn't matter one way or the other. You just want to get somebody in there. And so I did, and they came through with a publicity thing in the papers that said they found a candidate, but he was in medical school now, so it's a non-issue. And we didn't know who it was, so the NAACP found out it was me. And so I said, well, hey, why not? And Robert, my brother, said, well, you always like challenges. This would be the biggest challenge you ever had. I said, well, let's take a shot at it. And so I went and I interviewed. They had to interview me because they'd done all this publicity. And the dean of the College of Medicine said, son, if my daddy knew I was even sitting here talking to you about coming to the University of Tennessee, he'd turn over in his grave. I said, well, boy, this is going to be interesting. So then I got to the provost. I was interviewed by the dean and then the provost. And the provost said, son, you've got good grades, but that's from Tennessee State and you're number 2 in your class at Meharry. But we don't consider those to be accredited schools. I said,
Mm-hmm.
what do you mean? He said, well, we just don't consider those accredited. So you have the grade points to get into Tennessee, but you'll have to start all over again because we don't consider that to be you to have had any training at all.
You had to start all over again, essentially.
But now I'd only been there for a quarter, see.
Uh-huh. Oh, good.
So, so what happened then was that I had to go to the dean because you have to withdraw. And the dean looked at me and he said, well, son, I don't like any of this, but you have to withdraw passing. I said, well, wait a minute. I'm listening as number 2 in the class. My wife and I were talking about this last night. During my day, which is before your day, brother, you knew where you are in the class because at the end of each testing session, they had all the names there in line. It wasn't a matter of where you were. You just went there.
They literally posted the grades.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow.
Every quarter, every quarter.
Wow.
So then he took me into the office. He said, look, this could be the worst mistake you've ever made in your life. I said, well, what do you mean by that? He said, well, first of all, if you go to the University of Tennessee, they're going to flunk you out. They can flunk you out. You may be pretty smart, but they can still flunk you out. And he said, now the problem is this, you're number 2 in our class. If you go there and you get flunked out, then we will have lost a valuable black doctor. And that wouldn't be fair. And he said, and in addition, the thing that I'm most worried about is what you could do to Meharry. I said, well, what do you mean? What can I do to Meharry? He said, there is a Southern Regional Council Foundation, which is based on the Jim Crow laws of separate but equal. And what happens is the reason Meharry gets such great students is that there's no other place for them to go in the entire South.
Oh,
So
wow.
by taking students into Meharry, we get federal support for whatever it would take to pay for in their particular state to go to Meharry to get them through. And he
Wow.
said, if you go there and you're successful, then there might be a domino effect and it could be the end of Meharry. Now I'm 19 years old.
Yeah, and you dealing with these life-changing, world-changing events. So what did you do?
I talked to my mother. That's what she's supposed to do.
Hello.
And she said, "Well, look, Alvin, I've mortgaged the house already to keep you in marriage. so, what do you think?" And I said, "Well, shit, I can still play my horn." she, she didn't think much.
If you flunk out, you still got this music
I
ahead of
can
you,
still play
right?
my horn. So anyway, so I decided to go,
Wow.
and I went, and it was hard. It was hard, but it was good. They made me start over. And then what happened at the third quarter is that I had the highest score, and they didn't put me on the dean's list. And I said, "Well, what's going on?" They say, "Well, it wouldn't be fair to your fellow students to put you on the dean's list." And I said, "Wait a minute, wait a minute."
Fair.
Because he said, "Because you've had some of this information and they haven't."
No, wait a minute. Slow down. First, they make you take these courses over again, and then
Yeah,
when you excel in them, they basically said, "Well, it's not fair for the good white kids
yeah.
since you've had them again that we dismissed."
So anyway, now the University of Tennessee was on a special program there. They had a thing called the V12 program, which
Yes,
they
sir.
had started after World War II, and that was to get doctors out of medical school quicker. And so what they had there is a quarter system, and every quarter on the quarter, that quarter was taken, meaning it was good. We had a lot of professional football players because you could come in any quarter and leave any quarter and then
Wow.
pick up where you were if you were passing.
Right.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So I had lost that quarter, and then I got into the system, and I ended up, and this is really something, I ended up finishing the University of Tennessee ahead of my class at Meharry, and had only put 6 years into this because I didn't go the entire four. I did all of my classes, and I did six in a row. And then there's one thing you have to do. It would be between your sophomore and junior year. You have to stay out to take your state boards because you go to two schools. One is the School of Basic Medical Sciences, and the next is the School of Clinical Sciences.
Right.
So the first 4 years, and it made it good because I wasn't taking courses just with doctor candidates. It was for master's degree, for PhD, and the courses were peer, meaning endocrinology was endocrinology, and pathology was pathology. It had no particular, it was just science. And
Yeah.
then you took your state boards, and if you passed your state boards, then you went on to the basic clinical sciences. And that's when you got your white coat and you started physical diagnosis and all that sort of thing. And so I did that, and it was 13 quarters, which was my 6 quarters, a quarter out, and then the other 6 quarters in graduating.
And then you get into the Navy?
Well, yeah, man, I didn't have any money. The Navy got into me, meaning they had what's called a health professionals student scholarship program. And
Uh-huh.
you get a fistful of dollars, but you also sign your life away for a bit. And so I signed up with the Navy, and then when I graduated, it was like I graduated in June of '64. People graduate from medical school and they don't know where they're going, they don't know where their internship, their residence. I didn't have any problems with that.
You going in
When
the
I
Navy?
graduated, I was going to the Naval Hospital on my way to Southeast Asia.
Wow. So you spent time in
And
Korea?
Dixie Station, I was on a repair ship, USS Markhab, AR-23,
Okay.
and I
Okay.
was on that for about 14 months. And then I got all that, and then I had a commitment. I had a year-for-year commitment, so I had a 5-year commitment. because well, not pretty much, they had paid for my school. I did my internship in Boston, then went out to Southeast Asia for a year, and then came back and then did a residency
Okay.
in Boston.
All
And
right.
then during my residency, I'd done well on what's called the in-training scores, and my chief said, you know, I think I'd like to try something. And I said, well, what do you want to try? He said, you know, you're doing pretty well. I think we can do better. So he went to the professor of orthopedics at Harvard and says, we've got this boy at Navy, and he's doing. We think he could do just as well here for you, and would help us. And I think we could work something. And so they looked at there's a thing you take each year called the OIT, the Orthopedic in Training exam.
Uh-huh.
And he looked at my in training exam scores. He said, well, looked like he would fit in here. And he said, well, and my chief said, well, what do you think? He said, well, you think he can be here at 6:30? We start at 6:30 in the morning. And he said, yes. He said, but you know, you need to know something. This boy is colored. He's a Negro, and I don't know your politics, but you need to know that. And the professor looked at my chief and he said, do you think he can be here at 6:30? And that was it. And I was in.
Wow.
And I went to Harvard, finished my residency, and actually finished as the first orthopedic surgeon to be trained at Harvard Medical School.
Wow.
And
But that wasn't
when
the end of your service, though, was it?
no, I had to go, and I went and I set up the first pediatric orthopedic program in the Navy at the San Diego Naval Hospital.
Were
You know,
you?
were you in service at all?
Yes, sir. I spent 4 years in the Army.
Well, here's what it was. Before I came I was in Balboa Hospital in San Diego, and you'd go down the hallway to the orthopedic clinic, and on the right would be active duty, and on the left would be dependents and retired. And so I started what's called pediatric orthopedics. They never had a subspecialty of pediatric orthopedics. So I started the subspecialty of pediatric orthopedics in the military, for which I got a medal from at that time, I guess, the Secretary of the Navy
Wow.
and the commanding admiral.
Wow.
And that started a lot of other stuff.
Yeah, I'm just looking at. I mean, that's not even the end. I mean, that's literally
Oh, no.
the beginning of the middle, because
Yeah.
you then go on for more service,
Yep.
research fellowships at the DuPont
Yep.
Institute.
The
Uh,
AID, Alfred I. DuPont Institute.
right. The Henry Ford Hospital. You see, I
Yeah.
did read your stuff. At least I have access to it. Okay.
Okay.
Wait a minute. But then you come here to Cincinnati.
Yeah. Well,
What
you know, my military commitment, here's the thing about it. My military commitment was up in 1975. So in 75, I went to the Henry Ford Hospital, 75 to 77.
Mhm.
And Henry Ford was a very nice, big hospital, lots and lots of money. I loved every minute of it, but I wanted my own pediatric orthopedic service in a major pediatric center.
Mhm.
And even though I'd gotten the Outstanding Resident Award from the Boston Orthopedic Club and all the other things, no institution in the continental United States was ready to hire me. No, that's not true. That's not true. I got one offer, and it was at Stanford. But you know, I'm so dumb. I was so dumb then that I didn't know reality. And here's what it was: the pay at Stanford was the same as my Navy pay. And I said, shit, you got to be a trust fund baby to go to Stanford. But you know what I didn't know? It's
It
at
was Kansas.
Stanford for their young faculty has a community. You live in Palo Alto, California. You have your kids who can go to the best school in the continental United States. I was just looking at the check. What I did, let me tell you what, you know, you can take yourself too serious. So when I was getting out of the military, I said, here's what I'm going to do. Since nobody wants me, then I'll sell myself. And to get me, you got to give me twice what my Navy salary is.
Wow.
And Henry Ford bought it because I had a friend there that I'd known who was from Johns Hopkins. And I'd known him, and we made a deal, and that's where I went.
Okay.
And then after 2 years there, he was considering leaving. And it's still Detroit Receiving and Detroit Children's Hospital was interested, but it wasn't really what I wanted. And Ed Miller, the fellow who was chief of orthopedic surgery here, hired me. And the thing is that people don't realize pediatric orthopedics is a fairly new specialty, meaning it wasn't a big specialty way back then. And so it would allow me the opportunity to come to Cincinnati and start a major program here at what is considered to be a major children's hospital.
Wow. You were the architect of this then?
Yeah, no, hold on. I came and started it. I couldn't get anybody to come to work for me for 7 years. So I ran the show pretty much alone. Got a fellow who had been a Navy intern. He'd seen me on one of my active duty tours in the reserves, and he came with me. And so anyway, we started, and everything worked out to the point that we became the center. I knew when I left Detroit, I came here. I've done very aggressive surgery, anterior posterior releases for scoliosis. And I did a kid where in Detroit, when I would do this kid, they would be intubated for about maybe a week and a half or 2 weeks. And you go by and the kid would blink their eyes. You know, blink your eyes if you're hurting here. Do this because they've got an endotracheal tube in. I went to see a kid over the weekend. I had done him, I think, on Thursday, and I went to see him Saturday morning. And the kid was in bed in the intensive care unit. And I said, hi. And he looked at me and said, hi, Dr. Crawford. I said, oh, shit. This is magic, man. I am on to something. If they can take one of my kids, I've done an anterior posterior release for scoliosis, and he is talking to me without being intubated 3 days later. This is it. I'm here forever. And I made that decision right there.
Wow.
And the rest of it is sort of stuff.
So wait a minute. You have over 200 publications? Over 60 books. You are
60 peer-reviewed articles.
That's okay.
Okay, six
books. Okay, those are book chapters. You are
the big number is book chapters. The 63 are book chapters. No, but the 6 books are mine.
Yeah, 60 book chapters, and you co-authored or authored 6 books.
Yeah.
Oh wow. I'm so far below that level. You know, we do publish a Paris at Miami, but nothing compared to anything like this. Okay.
It gets better. When children did their assessment and evaluation, they named me as one of the top educators in the first 100 years of Cincinnati Children's Hospital, and the only surgeon in the list. So it's been busy. In addition to that, let me tell you what, and this is an aside. You know, I got a phone call when we were first starting to talk today. Okay, that was my wife. She's from the 11th grade in high school.
Okay. Not too shabby for somebody coming out of, what is this, Orange Mound?
Yes.
Where
Orange Mound has an unbelievable history. It has a great history and now a horrible history. Let me tell you about it.
Tell me about it.
I'm from Orange Mound. Orange Mound was the first settled, planned community post-slavery. I grew up with single-family homes, no projects. It was all good. But since that time, brother, There is, I think you can get it on YouTube. That's the thing about Orange Mound now that is really something. It has been devastated. It has been devastated. Man, as I was growing up, well, long after I left, for whatever reason, the fathers that be decided that all of the expressways, the refrigerator companies, the plants, and everything could not survive unless they were put in Orange Mound. And so Orange Mound now is a shell of whatever it actually was. And there's an article that was written, about 6 weeks ago. You could pull that. And it talks about what happens to Orange Mound. And it's only because it was a Black community. And boy, if you were from Orange Mound in my day, you had an attitude.
Mm. Mr. Dr. Alvin Crawford, I also see where in 2013,
Yeah.
Kappa Alpha Psi at its conclave in Houston, Texas, gave you its highest honor, Laurel Wreath holder. You know, I've never talked to a Laurel Wreath holder. What was that?
No, that was an attaboy. I felt good about that. I
Did you?
felt good about that.
Well,
And let me tell you what, it wasn't easy though. Let me tell you what, uh, Brother Donald Washington worked very, very, very hard. Dunn is an unbelievable guy. Dunn may be the only one who has sponsored and was successful with two Laurel Wreath holders in the same chapter.
wow.
As a matter of fact, Dunn was responsible for Nate Jones and myself.
Yes.
And as small as the city of Cincinnati is, it
Two.
has two Laurel Wreath holders. That just doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen. Right. Right.
And it's all because of Dunn. Dunn was so patient. I mean, he, failure and defeat didn't even affect him. He just kept on plowing.
So,
And
sir,
both of us were doublers.
what do you mean by doublers?
Oh, well, Nate was unsuccessful the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I was unsuccessful the first time, but the second time I got the highest percentage of votes of a Laurel Wreath holder that had been had.
Mm. Mm. So, sir, you've been in Cincinnati since the mid 70s.
No, brother, it should have been 78, 78, 79. Okay, so you're right. Yeah,
Late 70s.
late 70s. Yes.
You've seen a lot of changes during that period of time. What are the most significant changes that you've seen in Cincinnati in the what you've been able to see over that period of time?
Now, you have to delineate where we're going because it can't be open to changes. Are you seeing social political changes? Are you seeing professional changes? Are you seeing opportunity changes? Are you seeing it has to be you have to delineate where we're going.
We're going your Kappa journey. So what has been most significant for you, not just overall, but what you've seen in terms of I don't know blacks in medicine, the opportunity structures for kids.
Here is the thing. I can truly say this. I've been fortunate, but depending on how you apply yourself, sometimes it's difficult to find out which is being fortunate and just sort of having work your ass off. I
Right,
mean, so you
right.
can get to that. But in terms of that one, um, of being given professorship at the university early. In 2006, the university presented me with their highest academic honor, which is the Daniel Drake. Daniel Drake was the founder of the university. He was the slave owner who gave the land to the
Wow.
university. And I received the Daniel Drake Award. That's the highest academic honor that the university bestows. I also got from the university, although this is from the university, I got an honorary doctorate. I got a doctorate of medical science for achievements in the field of medicine internationally there. But I mean, the societies have been good. The Scoliosis Research Society, which is a very tough society, they elected me president of that. And I was one of the first African American surgeons who were president of an international surgical society.
So,
and then the Pediatric Orthopedic Society. I have the Presidential Award. I had the Distinguished Achievement Award. And then 2 years ago, I was given the Lifetime Hall of Fame of Pediatric Orthopedic Surgeons in the continental United States, which includes a world with that. So it's been a journey.
Brother Dr. Alvin Crawford, you are a giant.
Well,
you are a giant. Let me, if you could speak to, and you will be through this, young brothers right now, what words of wisdom would you give them as they began their Kappa journey?
You know, it's really simple. First of all, you got to find your mother. You got to find a mother. You got to find a mother like mine.
I know what you mean. I'm a mama's boy, so I know exactly what you mean. Okay.
You got a mother. Also, you got to find a mother with a strong arm.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Your mother had that spare the rod, spoil the child mentality too, right?
Oh man, let me tell you what, the only one that could beat my ass was her. And if anybody else did, then I still had to wait for her to get it after it was done.
My mama had this fierce right hook, okay? I mean, she could
yeah.
wham.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look,
that's just the slap upside the head that rocks your head.
Oh no, right. That is just to get your attention. That's not to find less.
Hey, are you listening?
No. She told my brother and I, man, she didn't ever want us. The other thing is that I have a thing that's from her. People have seen me and they think it's sort of strange, and they don't really. And some people have felt that I just had lost it. But you can do anything to me you want to.
Yeah,
it's not a problem because I'm going to make it work with hard work and tenacity. And you know, like things that happen in the hospital, you get off the OR schedule, you can't get your cases done, and people say, "Oh, I'm trying to screw you." I said, "No problem, I can work it out." And just work hard and get it done. But in doing that with adversity, it's all real. And she really believed in that. She said, "Be very careful because I don't ever want to come to jail to have to pick you up, and let alone to have to go to the funeral home. So when things are going on, if they directly involve you, you got to be in it to the best you can. If it doesn't, then you have to walk away. You got other things you got to do.
Yeah.
Because if you get a beating somewhere else, that ain't going to be nothing like what you're going to get when you get home."
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mom had this notion that if you got beat at school, you gonna get beat at home. Okay.
Yeah.
That was just it. Okay. And in terms of interaction with the police, oh, that wasn't gonna happen. Okay.
Yeah.
Because if she had to come down and get me out of jail, it was gonna be all hell to pay on my part. Okay. All right.
Look, not only that, if I acted a fool and got shot by the police, there would still be pain at the funeral parlor.
Yeah. My mama would follow me to hell to kick my butt for being such a fool. Okay. I mean, yeah, I'm a mama's boy. Look, I got one more question, sir.
Let's hear it.
If you had to do it all over again, would you still pledge Kappa, and why?
You know, that's a tougher question.
I know.
And let me tell you, because I pledged Kappa for a reason that, and this is going to sound like the dumbest thing you've ever heard. I pretty much did everything my big brother told me to do.
Okay.
And it was simple. He was a Kappa. He enjoyed it. He loved it. And you got to join this.
Yep.
Because, you know, I mean, God, I mean, at Tennessee State, as I said, and this is going to be interesting, that, you know, the guys in my class, and here I was the number one in the class, graduated valedictorian, and I was getting ready to pledge. And boy, I had a rush. There's this group, what are they called? They're called the Alphas or something. They say there's no such thing as a number one in the class being a Kappa. Yeah, that doesn't work. And I said no. And boy, but let me tell you what, the Kappas loved me. They welcomed me. I kept the chapter on campus for about 2 years.
Yeah, yeah.
Because when they averaged my average with the rest of them, we made it to the 2.5.
Wow.
No, you know, Kappa's a fun organization, but the Kappa Journal, the Alphas and the Qs used to get on us because the Kappa Journal was the forerunner of Sports Illustrated.
Yeah.
One year, Oscar Robinson was on the front page of the Kappa Journal, and the guy said, "Alvin, I told you, it's Sports Illustrated." I just thought everyone in there is a jock. But anyway, no, in terms of being able to counsel kids and mentor kids and so forth and so on, it's been good. So the answer to your question would be absolutely, positively, yes. That Kappa would be it. But as I said, it's special, and you'd have to have. But I didn't have an opportunity to think of any other. He came home. I was still in high school, and he came home and he said he's a Kappa, and I said, well, what's a Kappa? He said, well, it's a great organization, and I think you'd like it. It's really, really good. He told me about the things that he did. Now, there's some more history. My brother was the most valuable player for the Orange Blossom Classic in '57, which was Florida A&M and Tennessee State. I don't know how old you are. I don't need to know how old you are, but at Florida A&M they had Gallimore and Frazier. They were two of the first running backs that were ever picked up by the National Football League from historically black schools.
Okay.
And they had the Orange Blossom Classic, and my brother was the most valuable player.
Okay.
But he faced reality. He's the most valuable player. The game was 56, and he had 2 years of service, and the Minnesota Vikings wanted to sign him to a contract. And they said, we want you to play, but we think that you can do better than what you're doing. And he said, yeah, you know, with the agility that you have, the speed in the hands, you would be great as a defensive back. And you know where that's going, because they didn't hire African Americans as quarterbacks.
Right.
No, because see, you didn't have any academic skills. You had athletic skills.
That's the only thing they recognized.
And that's what my brother, God bless him, had been a quarterback since high school. He had never been hit by anybody, and let alone hitting anybody. So there was no way he was going to be a defensive back and to get into that. So he just said, you know, well, thank you very much. And he got a job when he finished his 2 years at Fort Leonard Wood, and then went from there to teaching in the city of Memphis. Went back home.
Brother Crawford, I've been teaching at Miami for 30 years. You've been teaching at Cincinnati for longer than that.
Like 41 and 42 now.
41, 42. You are just as intellectually stimulating and bright and all of that. You got any plans on retiring?
Well, let me tell you what, I retired from my clinical practice in, what is this? This is 22, that would be 19. And
Mm-hmm.
it was for a reason. If you'll get back into my history, I had an international practice. I do very, very complex, complicated spine surgery.
Yeah.
And was one time I was president of Scoliosis Research Society, meaning I've operated in 43 countries. And people came pretty much from all over. There was, back in maybe the early 2000s, there was a children's had a post out at the airport of me with a kid with scoliosis because people came through Cincinnati to have surgery at children's by me.
Mm.
But I said, wait a minute, I'm in my 70s and I'm doing this. Would it be fair to have a problem? And the kids that I operated on had problems to begin with. And the thing I didn't want to have was some kid was operated and their father and their friends, they say, well, hey, Rodney, how's your girl? I heard she had scoliosis. He said, well, she's not right. I said, well, goodness, well, what's going on? Where'd you have her done? I said, well, I had her done. Dr. Crawford did her, and she's got some paralysis now. I said, wait a minute. I thought he was one of the best doctors in the world. I said, well, stuff happened. He said, well, he has gotten a little older. And
Mm.
so I said, I never wanted that. So I started doing co-surgeries in 2010. And then in 2013, I walked away.
But you still.
And and um, and I continue to teach. I teach what's called boot camp, and I do a lot of writing even now. And I do a lot of international lectures. I do operate out of the country. I don't operate in the country anymore because I changed my malpractice license here. And plus, at some point you gotta fold them. You gotta hold them at some point, and you gotta fold them. And I left Children's Hospital with a database of 27,410. And with that, two fully funded chairs, a chair in pediatric orthopedics, a chair in spine surgery, and the scoliosis and spine clinic at Children's is a Crawford Spine Center.
Wow.
So you don't want to put your foot in it.
Brother Alvin Crawford, I thank you for being the epitome of Phi Nu Pi, for demonstrating what true achievement, manliness, fidelity is all about. Sir, we here in Cincinnati are who we are because you were who you were. We stand on your shoulders, and we thank you, sir, for just being the Kappa man that you are and you continue to be. Bless you, sir, for all of that.
Okay, you got to hear the end story. You know the end story?
I gotta hear the end story. You know I gotta hear the end story.
No, it's the BMIMC. Oh no, I have an organization called Black Men in Medicine Cincinnati.
Really?
And it is through the university. And what it is that it is, we have a significant dearth of African American physicians who are male. And so the admission and graduation from medical school is lower now than it was in 1978. And through those years, it got to be lower and lower. So we have this organization, and it is to mentor and support African American males. And since males are a critical issue, it is males, not females, males. And that's what I'm doing now. And that's pretty much it.
You
But
continue.
I still lecture, and as I said, I operate. I have 57 fellows that are all over the world, and what they do is they go, and once they become chief, they'll invite the old man to come over, and because they've told the boys what he did years ago, for me to come over and do a dance here and there. And I did that up through the beginning of the pandemic. And since the pandemic, I've done Greece, I've done India, I've done China, I've done Japan, because that's where some of my fellows were from, and we've done it virtual. Yeah, but that's my end game.
Sir, no, sir.
And that's it.
That's that's not the end game, sir. That is shining the light on the future for so many that will come through these doors because of who you are and
Well,
what you've done. Thank you, sir. I'm
you're
gonna.
welcome. I hope you were able to get something out of that. Now, all of the everything I said is very well documented. I
Oh,
mean,
I know.
you can go on
I know.
because I let me tell you what I do something that it's to really check a brother out. And it's when somebody comes up to me and says, "Well, what about this?" I said, "Look, let me tell you what. I'm going to tell you to do something, and I want you to tell me 5 people who can do this once you've done it. If you've done it." And they said, "What's that?" I said, "Well, look, rather than ask me questions, why don't you Google Harvard Medical School, Alvin Crawford?"
Hello. You and I have the same response, and I'm going to shut this off in a minute. But I tell
Okay.
people, if you want to know about me, don't listen to me per se. Google me, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And after you've Googled me and checked that out, if you've got some more questions, then we can continue at that point. Again, sir, I am blessed and honored to talk to you. And I'm going to shut this down, and then we're going to keep on
Okay.
talking for a minute. All right. Thank you, sir.
Hmm.
All right.